Hey friends, Chris here with Little Roots Ranch, and I wanted to do a quick video about composting in the winter. I know that our gardens don't have, I feel like I'm too tall, so I'm trying, there we go. I know that our gardens don't have a lot going on right now, and that's okay. I did get my garlic in, by the way, got it in a little bit earlier than the end of December or November like I usually do. But we don't have a whole lot going on in our gardens, but it doesn't mean that we can't start thinking about next year. And so for me, one of the things I've always struggled with is where do I source my compost? So I've historically always trucked in my compost. And though that's convenient in my journey to have more of a self-sufficient farm, I've been trying to think about focusing more on making my own. Except I kind of struggle with a few different factors. So one, I've only got 2.5 acres, and so I've got a smaller footprint. So I don't have as much room because I'd like to dedicate it all to either growing plants, growing trees, or something like that. But also, I'm not sure. I thought about hand flipping. I do have the tractor, but I like to have a smaller like carbon footprint, and also I don't want to deal with the compaction and firing up the tractor, and then I need a larger area to allow for the tractor to move back and forth. So I've kind of been thinking about what I want to do, and I wanted to test. This is one of those rolling bins or tumblers, compost tumblers or whatever, and give you a peek inside there, and I'll come back to that. But I was wondering if, because also the tumblers produce a smaller amount of compost, which is obviously great for home gardening and stuff like that with smaller gardens and such. But I was wondering about if I had a bunch of them and kept them running all year long, would that get me closer? And is that something I want to do? The drawbacks, of course, are plastic use and things like that. I know that using plastic in some ways is unavoidable, but I do try and be conscious of when I am and am not using it. So I was gifted this tumbler and very appreciative of it. And so I want to try it out and kind of get a feel for it. And so that's what we're doing today. So this is the second weekend in November. So we're going into the winter. And so composting still works in the winter. Admittedly, it's slower, but it does still work, especially if you're able to build a really good pile. So in here, I've started on my pile, but I still need to keep filling it up. I don't want to fill it up all the way, but I want to fill it about like 75%. And that actually helps keep it warm, especially the core where the microbes are, or well, they'll be everywhere. But when it's more warm in the center, then the insulation will help keep this going longer. So in talking about composting, there's one thing that always confuses a lot of folks, and that's you need browns and greens. And what do those mean? A lot of things. The browns basically are carbons. And so think of those kind of as dried stuff. So dried out grass clippings, not fresh grass clippings, dried out ones. Leaves, small twigs, or like the skeletons of the plants that have died, like your tomatoes or something like that. Pine shavings, sawdust, leaves in the fall. Right now, leaves are one of the best sources. Straw is another top source, but basically you need those to counter the greens, which are your nitrogens. Now those are pretty easy to find. If you cut wet grass and it's still green, that would be under the greens. All of your kitchen scraps, your coffee grinds, tea bags, whatever, all of that stuff is going to fall into greens. And those two are really important, especially a lot of people I've heard say, oh, well, won't compost smell or something like that. The good news is that if you build your compost pile correctly, it actually won't have any scent. I've always used historically an old trash can, which I've got just right over there off camera, that I put stuff into, and I've never had any smell, even though it's, 6 feet from my door. And the reason for that is because there's a good balance. So if you notice that there's a bad odor coming from your compost, 99 out of 100 times, you need to add more of the browns to it, whether that's some shredded newspaper, straw, whatever. You need to add it to your pile to help balance it out. Now, there's also a difference. I've definitely seen people talk about the browns and the greens and stuff like that. I feel like try to stay underneath the camera, but because if I stand up, then you don't see me. But I can't make this guy move. What was I saying? Oh, so a lot of folks do the compost piles on the ground. And so when you're doing a compost pile on the ground, you need more browns because just all of the moisture, and it's outside, the water, especially in the western part of the Pacific Northwest, water just comes out of the ground. We get lots of rain, all of that stuff, all the ingredients for, potentially messing up your compost pile. So that's why I'm kind of excited to give the tumbler a try. And of course, I'll report back all my learnings and stuff like that. Is that one, it's sealed, obviously. When the lid's on it, which I can lock it, and that way rain can't get inside. I need to make sure I have a good balance of browns to soak up the moisture that's already in there from like my beet leaves and stuff like that. But the other cool thing about this is that I can actually turn it. I have to remove the flat or the pin over here. And excuse me, I've seen people turn these and they're like, do. I'll tell you, it's a little bit more than that. It's not too crazy. I also think you're supposed to chop up everything really small. I didn't do that just because I didn't. I don't have time for that. And so if it takes a week longer to something, that's fine. So it takes a little bit more to like rotate it out or whatever. And put it back where it's flat. No, I think I did it too much. Let's see. There we go. From the side, it's kind of, can't really see it, but it's kind of triangular where this is the top. And so I want to have it lay flat. And so that's after it's been tumbled. Oops, I didn't lock it in place. Hold on. Okay. Now that's locked in place, it won't move around. But so I kind of wanted to do this as an experiment. It's obviously not really great for large scale, but it's perfect for the home garden and for smaller scale stuff like doing my own compost for seed starting and stuff like that. And then also, I don't know if I can take this as like a prototype and build like a larger one, like maybe some big drum that I like push or something. I'm not sure. If you guys have any ideas, drop them down below. Or if you've used a tumbler, please let me know how it worked out for you down below. Like I said, it's my first time winter composting and my first time composting with a compost tumbler. So I'm really excited, and it gives me something gardening to do during the winter. So yeah, fingers crossed that it'll turn out well, and I'll keep this in my updates and stuff like that and let you guys know how it's doing. Just need to get to finishing filling it up. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and happy gardening. Bye.